I am Arlette Hardy, blogger and joy strategist from chasing-joy.com. I feel like it's been a long time since I did one of those intros, but maybe it was just yesterday because I honestly don't remember if I introduced myself on my first Vlogmas video. So I'm still doing Vlogmas. This is video number 3, and this is going to be technically a mukbang because I am eating a small, I guess this is like a Danish, and 2 pieces of bacon. And that's like sugar-free syrup on my plate. That's not like oil from the bacon. Cause that'd be gross. But anyway, today's video, a mukbang, I'm gonna talk about my breastfeeding experience with baby number 2. Those of you who edit videos know that you oftentimes come up with the title after the video. So I don't know exactly what this title of this video is going to be, but I think it's going to be something like my experience something like my experience breastfeeding baby number 2 as a low milk producer. That sounds long, so I'll probably condense it, but something like that. And the reason why is because the whole point of this video, this is not going to be a video about how to increase your milk supply, because the reality is that some women will do all of the things to increase their supply to the point of exhaustion and depression and whatever, worry, whatever else, and still not make enough milk and still have to supplement. And so I don't want to do a video telling you guys all the things to do, because you can all look that up yourself. There's plenty of resources. My video is about accepting that, you know what, I don't make enough milk to satisfy, or I don't want to say satisfy, but to adequately supply my baby's needs. And it's okay. It's okay, because thank God we are blessed to be living in the year 2022, almost 2023, and there is so much formula available. Although technically we had a formula shortage this year, but when I mean the formula is available, like it exists. Like it's not, 18 something, or if you're in the United States or another similar type of country, formula is available to you, unlike some third world places where formula is not available, or the clean water that you need to make formula is not available. So if you are like me and live in a similar situation as I do, you are blessed that there's formula available for your baby, though you might have to be strategic these days with the shortage. So there's no reason to be super hard on yourself if you are a low supplier. So I just want to talk about my experience as a mom who is a low supplier, and just kind of tell you guys all that would happen. I give a really quick for baby Joy Chaser, and then in detail for baby sister, who was born almost 6 months ago, guys. So and I'll just right off the top tell you guys, I am still making milk for the baby at this point. So I guess before I get to the end, my overall message will be, even though you're a low supplier, you can still make milk for your baby and have that experience of being a breastfeeding mom, or a nursing mom, or exclusive pump, or whatever it is, but a mom who makes milk for her baby, and feel good about that, even if you have to supplement. So with baby Joy Chaser, my son, who's now 4, from memory, and without going back looking at past videos, he rejected my boob on day 2. So the first day he was born, he latched on right away, really good latch. Nurse all night. I remember being so exhausted. I remember feeling nervous that I was gonna drop him off the bed. And I probably should have told the nurses that I'm worried I'm gonna drop him, but I don't know. I just made sure I didn't. And he was really good nurse all night. I was very tired. The next day, day two, they took him to get circumcised. He came back. They warned me he'd be extra sleepy from the procedure and, that whole ordeal. And he was. And then when he woke up, he was cranky, which I don't have a penis, but I can imagine if part of my body got cut off, I'd be a little upset. So he was cranky, and I would put him on my boob. He would latch. He would suck like twice, and he would unlatch and scream. And he was so mad. His little face would get so red. And that went on all day. So he never got any milk all day. So the lactation people came and they showed me that I was making some colostrum. Not a lot came out, but I saw little beads. When she showed me how to. She knew. First of all, she didn't even show me, but she squeezed my nipple, or I squeezed it a little bit, and some colostrum came out. So I felt like, okay, I am making something. But he didn't want it. So scream all day, and I was getting increasingly worried because he's not drinking anything, and he's 2 days old. So by the time like 11 o'clock came, the night nurse came on, and I felt more comfortable with her because I asked her, was there any formula available? And she said, oh yeah, sure. So she gave me the formula, and so she showed me how to do it from I think it was a dropper, like a syringe dropper. And he lapped that milk up. Oh my goodness. So he was hungry, but I think he was frustrated that the milk coming out of the breast takes so much work for the baby. And he was either like tired from doing it all the day before and was like, this is just too slow. And so I think he just was like impatient and like, this takes too much work and takes too long and I'm not doing it. So that started our bottle feeding journey. So basically from then on with him, he preferred bottle. I would put him on. He would sometimes nurse a little more. And at that time I was using like an app. And I do remember at one point he nursed for like 4 minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And that was the longest he ever nursed. So he was bottle fed 90% of the time. And I pumped a lot. So I became an exclusive pumper because at some point I just stopped trying to put him on because whenever he wouldn't want to latch, I would feel bad. So I stopped. And I exclusively pumped all the way, I think, to 8 months with him. And then by then I was going back to work and he was starting to eat some solids, and it just felt like the end of our journey. Fast forward 4 years, baby sister is born. And it started out completely different. Oh, I hope you guys can hear that. There's like some loud alarm outside. But anyway, started out completely different. Well, no, started out the same. And that she latched on right away. We got to do skin to skin right away with baby Joy Chaser. It was delayed, but only by like a minute. You can go back and watch that video about my traumatic birth with him. Her birth was traumatic in a different way, but at least they got to put her, I got to kind of pull her out and put her on my chest myself, and that was awesome. So we got skin to skin right away. She latched right away. Really good latch. Breastfeeding took off really good. And so that first night, very similar as baby Joy Chaser. She did great. I'm feeling good about it. The second day comes and I'm like, okay, what's going to happen? She kept nursing. So I was like, yay. But every time I would talk to the doctors, I would express like, she's doing really good, but historically I've been a low producer, so I am nervous that she's not getting enough. So she did lose some weight. you know, from I think the first day to the second. I think she lost like 2 or 3 ounces, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but not enough, like enough where it was like, okay, within the normal amount that they lose. So I was feeling really good about it. And I had this time I put a note on my door that I didn't want any lactation people because they weren't helpful the first time and they made me feel bad about giving my son formula, even though I was still trying to continue to nurse after that. And I was like, I am just not going through that emotional turmoil with those people. So I had a big no lactation consultant on the door, and it was honored. No one ever came in, but we did good. She was nursing, she was latching. She was having lots of poopy diapers. You know, very few of them were just wet. In the first couple days, there was lots of poopy diapers. That meconium was coming out, and they were saying that's because I'm sorry, I said it wrong. Yeah, wait, yeah, meconium. That's the first poops was coming out, like that tarry kind of stuff, and that's because the colostrum is kind of like a diuretic, so it kind of like helps push that out. So I was feeling really good. Like all signs were pointing to this going well. So she nursed all really good. And then it was time to go home. And yeah, that's when they weighed her again. And it was like whatever the few ounces, not too bad. So get home. And it's still going well. She's latching on. And I'm trying to think. I did start to use my breast pump a little bit then. Just a little bit. Because I wanted to try and boost, but because she was nursing so much, I wasn't putting it on a lot. But she was doing really good, but the one challenge we had, she was a sleepy baby, and I ended up Googling. She was born at 37 and 3 days. I got induced on day 37 or 37 and 2 days, somewhere like there, but I got induced exactly on 37 weeks. So she was technically full term, but like barely full term. And in my Google research, I learned that babies who are closer to 37 weeks are often really tired. So she would not wake up for feedings. So I had to wake up at night and wake her up and be feeding her. So we were doing every 2 to 3 hours overnight, and then but during the day when things were more lively, she still slept a lot, but I was more awake, so I was make sure to wake her every 2 hours. So I had to wake her to eat, but when she would latch on and she would drink, and it all seemed like it was going well. And then they said when you get home, the dirty diapers should increase by 1 diaper per day for the first like 5 or 6 days, and then after that it should be like 6 or 7 dirty diapers a day. So in the hospital it was increasing, but they were poopy diapers and also pee. So then we got home. I'm trying to think about the days. I got induced on a Friday. I had her Sunday, Monday. I think I came home on Tuesday or Wednesday. And the dirty diapers, it was like one, then 2, then 3, then 4, then I think we got up to like 5. I was supposed to have 5 dirty diapers, and then that day 5 wet diapers, and it wasn't 5. It was like 4, and I was like, okay, so that's not what they said. But she's latching on, she's nursing away, but there's no way for me to know how much is coming out. So she's sucking, and I have the lactation cookies. I'm trying to do good with my water. I am eating. My aunt stayed with me for 2 weeks, so it was easier for me to like have meals. My environment was not as stressful as it was with Baby Joy Chaser. There was some family kind of stress going on. Not my family, my extended family stress when Baby Joy Chaser was born. That did impact me. None of that was happening. So in every way, this was like a better scenario, right? So, but it's starting to be less dirty diapers. So then, um, the next day, there's no wet diapers. There's a poop diaper, and I'm using the app, and I'm like, okay, it's just a poopy diaper. Where's the wet diaper? The wet diaper. And as the day proceeds, I'm getting more and more nervous. And so I said, you know what? This is not going the way that they said it should go. So I bet I'm not making enough milk. I bet that because she's nursing like a champ. Her latch is good. It wasn't painful. My nipples were not cracked. I actually had a day where they hurt for one day. I never had that with baby Dre taste, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I think this is like the milk coming in." you know, and it kind of was tingly for like one day and a little uncomfortable. Then that went away, and it was just like a really, the actual nursing experience was just really nice, and going well from what it seemed, other than these dirty diapers decreasing instead of increasing. So I was starting to get worried. And I said, you know what? My intuition is telling me that I'm not making enough milk because my boobs never got like a lot bigger, a little bigger, but not like noticeably bigger, like, people talk about or you see in movies. But the main thing is these diapers. So I said, you know what? I'm going to supplement. Now, the formula shortage started while I was still pregnant. So I did put out a mass text to all my friends and family and was like, listen, I don't know what my breastfeeding experience is going to be like this time, but based on past experience, I might not make enough. So please, if you see formula while you're out, please get it. And everybody jumped on it. So I had like 3 cases of formula before she was even born. So I said, let me pop open one of these, and gave her the bottle. She took it right away, sucked that milk down to the point where she would throw up. So we had to like slow down and like burp her in between. And, I wasn't giving her a lot because I was still trying to nurse. So I was just giving like a little bit at the end of the day, kind of like, all right, just in case. And then, so I think I had only given her formula like maybe once or twice. And by then, 24 hours had gone by and there were no wet diapers. So I called the pediatrician in the morning. I said, it's been 24 full hours with no wet diaper, and they said to go to the ER. So then I felt terrible. I felt terrible. Like, here I am trying to do everything, right. Trying to hold off on a formula because I did give it to baby Joy Chaser really quick that first day. Like, now that I know a bit more, I tried to hold off, and my baby is potentially dehydrated, and we are going to the ER. So I felt terrible, and I'm like praying, and I had to go by myself. I didn't have to go by myself. I could have called someone, but like I went by myself because my aunt stayed home with baby Joy Chaser. It was a Saturday, and I'm glad she was here because that would have been even more stressful trying to take both of them. We get there, and what does baby sister do while we're in the ER waiting to be seen? She pees. So I said, okay, little girl, this is what your personality is going to be. So I was so relieved that she did pee, but we were there then, so we stayed. And basically, they examined her, and she looked great. She was not dehydrated. However, the doctors acknowledged, like, yeah, you need to start supplementing. And I said, well, I just started supplementing, I think, the night before. And they said, great. They said, because even though she has officially peed and her body is not showing signs of dehydration, she should be up to like 6 pee diapers. And the fact that she had none for 24 hours is concerning. So they told me to supplement, and then they told me to not wait until my next doctor's appointment. I skipped something. So, sorry, when you come home from the hospital, they had me take her to the doctor the next day after being home. So, like 2 days home. We went, she had lost more weight, but it was not quite 10% of her body weight, so of her starting body weight. So they said if she was still okay. And the pediatrician said, "Oh, your milk will probably come in within, by the weekend." So now here comes the weekend, and the dirty diapers were less. So the ER doctor was like, "Yeah, you're on. You definitely need to be supplementing, because there really is no way unless you're weighing baby before and after to know how much is really coming out." And they saw her latch. They said it was like, wow, her latch was good. At one point, they were like, "How you would get her off?" Because I would have to like kind of stick my finger in to break the seal a little bit if I needed her to come off, like for them to examine her. And so they said, yeah, supplement. And they had me increase my follow up pediatrician visit and to make sure that she was gaining weight. So the next pediatrician visit came, she was gaining weight. And so basically they said, just keep doing what you're doing. So from that point on, I supplemented my nursing. So basically what I would do is I would put her on, I would let her nurse from each side. And then as she got older and more alert, she would complain when I would run out my milk. She would literally punch me in the boob. Like I'd be holding her hair, and when I would run out, she would start fussing, and she would punch me right in the other boob or in the stomach. So I knew then that like there was no more milk coming out, but she was still hungry. And then I would give her a bottle, or I would give her to my aunt, who would give her a bottle while my aunt was still here. But then when she left, I would just give her a bottle. And then after all that, then I would try and pump. So it was exhausting. And I would do that. And then in the midst of all that, I have a 4-year-old running around who is adjusting to being a big brother, not having my attention, and who would almost always either misbehave or need something as soon as I was feeding her and he knew I couldn't just hop up. Or as soon as he saw I was on the breast pump and couldn't just hop up. So it was very, very challenging. And so that just went on and on until she started the daycare. So by time, well, no, not technically. So eventually, it kind of my pumping had to slow down just because I would try and get on a pump right after, and then he would need me, or she would still want to be held and be being fussy. And I bought the breast pump you just could wear. There was cordless and it worked, but it was not perfect, and it was just challenging. So the amount of pumping started to go down, except for when I could get pump while she was asleep, or when during the day when he wasn't here, or at night when they were both sleeping. So just it's really, really challenging when your baby doesn't make enough milk. I mean, not your baby, when your boobs don't make enough milk for your baby to try to do that routine, especially as a single mom by choice. So there's a lot of things about parenting. Like, I've only ever been single, I've never had a partner. So I can imagine there are a lot of things that I notice with my friends who are moms who have a co-parent or a spouse that are still the same. Like, the moms in general seem to just carry the burden of most of the child rearing, most of the child feeding, and the moms still carry the bulk of the weight. But one of the things that I think is considerably harder if you're a single mom by choice and you don't have like live-in support with you, which I don't. My mom passed away, and she would have been living with me had she not gotten sick. But that's what happened. So without having live-in support, like, once I'm done nursing, I can't hand over the baby to someone else to then pump efficiently. Like, I'm trying to pump until as long as she'll let me, which might just be a few minutes, or I'm trying to wait till she's sleeping, so now I'm missing that window of pumping after nursing. So it was just very challenging, very, very hard. But I did it, and I felt mixed emotions. Like, I felt good about doing it because I felt like, okay, any breast milk I give her, I feel is good for her, help with the immunity. It lowers the cost of the formula for me. And like, it just feel like, God intended us to be able to nurse. Like, I'm doing what my body is designed to do, even though it's not doing it as well as I'd like. So I liked it, but at the same time, it was very frustrating and very just exhausting and just very hard because as soon as I'm hooked on here, now my 4-year-old's misbehaving. And I either am having to yell to get him to stop doing something instead of being able to get up and like redirect or, play with him in some other kind of way. And it's just hard on the family, when you are the sole head of the family and the other members of the family are, crazy small children. So, but basically that was kind of the routine, and then eventually the routine became, um, nurse her in the morning, and then so I guess daycare started for her. So I would nurse her in the morning. And then at daycare, they have formula there. I allowed them to take the formula, especially because the paperwork says if anything not finished in an hour, they throw away. Now, breast milk, can last a little longer than formula milk. And at home, like if she was nursing, if she had a little bit of breast milk in a bottle and didn't finish, I'm putting that back in the refrigerator right away. And then I'm using it. As hard as I work for that breast milk, like I am not throwing it away if she only drank half of a bottle. I'm not so I was like, oh no, they are not getting my breast milk during the day. I'll save that for her at home. So I would nurse in the morning. She'd go to daycare. I come back home and I try to pump like at least twice, 2 or 3 times. Sometimes during the power pumping, never less than a half hour during the day. And then when she would get home, I would nurse. I should say when they would get home, I would nurse. My son would misbehave while I was nursing. So then I wouldn't pump after. And then when they got to bed, I would pump again. And then I would try to go to sleep. And I was not good at pumping during the middle of the night because girl was tired. Your girl was tired. But during the middle of the night, I would try and nurse. But then after a while, and then I just had a hard time with nursing. I'm gonna be honest. I put something on Instagram. I have bigger boobs, and I just never could get a position that was right. People would say laying down. Whenever I would lay down, and I don't know if because she was smaller, I could never get it lined up where my boob wouldn't like suffocate her. I always had to be holding it. Could never get the angle right, so I would get neck pain. It's just not easy. It's just not an easy thing to do, and I don't think people share about how hard it can be often enough, because it is a natural thing. But just because something is natural does not mean that it's easy, or that we automatically know what we're doing or how to do it. So I started to do some more formula feeding at night. So over time, I was pumping less. Now, fast forward to about 3 weeks ago, your girl, baby sister Joy Chaser, has turned into her brother and rejected my boobs. I would go to nurse her and she would just scream. She wouldn't even latch on. She would be pulling the irony. She pulled my shirt and put her mouth where my nipple is, as though she wanted to nurse, letting me know she's hungry. But then when I pull out the boob, she's screaming hard. Like it was like, I don't want that. And then I would give her a bottle and she would drink it. And then about a day later, when I gave her the bottle, she did the same thing. And I realized she wanted the faster nipples. So I went from the 0 nipples that are for newborns to like the 1, or depending on what kind of brand you're using, from 1 to 2. So I realized, okay, she wants the milk to come out quicker. She wants it quicker from the bottle and quicker from the boob, and it's not coming any quicker from the boob, so she wants nothing to do with the boob. So at this point in our breastfeeding journey, baby sister is no longer nursing. I am pumping usually 3 times a day. I pump in the morning for maybe like just 10 minutes while I'm getting her dressed, and then I pump in the middle of the day, because I have things that I'm trying to get done before I have to go back from maternity leave. And then I pump at night. um, when they're sleeping. And typically, if I wasn't doing this video, I try to pump whenever I'm eating, because then I feel like I'm doing multiple things at one time. And she's not nursing, and that's kind of where we are. But she is thriving. She is 80 or 90%, I can't remember, 80 or 90% for height. She has super long legs. And for weight, she is like 30%. And I think that might be maybe just a genetic thing, because baby Joy Chaser is also about 30% for weight and 80% for height. But she is babbling and cooing, and she's had like 2 colds. The first one was rough. It lasted like over a week. I actually kept her home. And then she just had another one that was very mild. Very mild. So she's doing great. And our breastfeeding journey, I think, is probably getting toward the end. I'm going to do it until I go back to work. And then I think once I go back to work, she'll be just over 6 months. And then I think I'll be done. So I think things to note from all that I said, trying to do the whole nurse, then bottle feed, then pump. And I would try to pump and bottle feed, but it was just like, I have bigger boobs. So it's like the boobs are here, the pumps are out here, trying to hold a baby. It never worked. So I would have to do nurse, one side, other side, bottle feed, then pump. That whole routine is hard. And then you throw in another child who is already adjusting to not having as much attention, who's, basically, he sees the breast pump. He's like, oh, she can't get up for 30 minutes. I'm about to wild out in here. So it just was something that's not sustainable for a long period of time, in my opinion. At least not for me, not for my sanity, and not for my, level of exhaustion, with her not sleeping through the night, and then me still having to get up early to get him to daycare. Just was not sustainable. But you just do the best you can. And I guess that's the overall. You just do the best you can. If you are not fed is best. And if you can't make enough milk, I'm not saying don't try all these things. But what I am saying is don't lose your sanity trying all these things. And it's depending on what else you got going on in your life, you got to weigh it out. Is it worth the lack of sleep? Because I know I don't function well without sleep. I am not as nice or good a mother when I don't have enough sleep. I don't think as clearly. My reactions are more harsh, and I'm typically a real calm person. So the trade-off between exhaustion and formula is like, this baby gonna have to get more formula so I can be a better mom to both of them, because I need this sleep. I can't just be up all night pumping. So, you're gonna have to make trade-offs in life. So I just want to say, if you don't make enough milk, don't feel bad. You're not alone. A lot of women don't, for whatever reason, and you shouldn't beat yourself out about it. We are blessed to where we have other resources. Take advantage of them, and figure out your trade-offs. And in terms of if you just want to stop, if you want to just give your baby what you can, and make that work for you. But everybody's journey is different, and you shouldn't feel bad about it, as long as your baby is eating and drinking, something that is appropriate for them at whatever age they are. Fed is best. And then how you do that, figure out what's going to work for you, your baby, and your whole family. Because I can't just ignore baby Joy Chaser's needs either. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. That's my journey thus far, and I'll update you guys in the future whenever we stop. But anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.